I've written this book. But it's really, as I thought about it and getting older, all the lessons I learned when I didn't think I was paying attention. So people have asked me, well, when I did interviews with this book, what did you learn? What was the big takeaway? And I said, I learned to be honest. How's that for a big takeaway? Because when you're in a market, when you're in a literal market, you have to be honest. I mean, it was called Spector's Meat Market. It wasn't Acme Meat Market, or it was Spector's Meat Market. Butchers have lots of opportunity to cheat the customer if they really want to. You come in and you say, I want that steak. So I take some wax paper and I put it on the scale. I put the steak on there, and of course the wax paper is kind of coming off the side, so I pulled down a little bit. I mean, not I personally, but one would pull down on the wax paper. So I've added a couple of ounces, and I made a little bit more. And there was another butcher in the market who did that, and people found out about it, and he was through. He was done.
That was it.
Yeah, that was it. Again, it's a small community.
Yeah.
Alan, you've been in business. It doesn't matter if you're in a market or you're in, the market. If people know that you're not upright, and you're not a mensch, then word is going to get out, and you're done. So I've had my own business, and it used to be just me. Now it's Robert Spector Consulting. So that means that Robert Spector better be an honest guy, because people are going to talk about it. And especially in this town, Seattle has grown a lot, certainly in the 36 years that I've been here. But this is a small town, after all is said and done. People know other people. People are going to find out what works and what doesn't. And the thing about taking care of the customer. I mean, you got to take care of the customer, and every customer is precious. So when I speak to large corporations, which I still do to this day, I tell them every customer is precious. And one story I tell, I was just about to graduate college, and I went to college in Pennsylvania, and I was home in New Jersey, working on a Saturday behind the counter. I got my white apron on, and this customer, a longtime customer, comes in and says, "So Robert, you graduating college?" I said, Yeah, I am. He said, "You should thank me." I'm looking at him, why should, I'm a 21-year-old punk. Well, why should I thank you? I studied, more or less. My father, paid the tuition. How do you enter into this equation? And he said, I've been a customer of your parents for 25 years. I paid for your college education. I said, thank you.
Yeah.
He was right.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we had 100 regular customers or 200 regular customers, but you lose one of them. That's a big deal.
Sure.
So you got to be fair with those customers, and so they keep on coming back, and and also I learned to have a good sense of humor. Very, very important. And my father was a very funny guy, and he could say just a couple of quick stories. When you sell a salami, this is Salami 101. You have to sell the whole salami, because the profits are in the ends. You don't sell the ends, there's no profit. So you come in for a salami, and I have, of course, I have the brand new salami in the front, and I've got the one that's down a couple of inches, the end. So you say, I want a pound of salami, so I take out the end and I take out the other one, and then I slice up what's left. Now there's certain people don't want the ends. So one time this customer said to my father, "Spector, don't sell me the ends. I don't want the ends." So my sister was working there at the time, and she was a teenager, and my father said, "You see my daughter? You see how pretty she is? She only eats the ends." Yeah. I mean, that's you have to have something beyond just the exchange of goods. And one time I was in, we had a second store for another couple of days of the week in a town in New Jersey called South River. Most famous person to come out of South River was the football player Joe Theismann. You see him now for commercials for Flomax, but I saw him play when he was in high school. So he was the most famous person. So there was a little market in South River, and I remember I was there on one Friday, and this regular customer comes in. My father said, "I had a dream about you last night." And my mother is standing right here. She's looking over there, and she turns around. And my father said, "I dreamt I sold you this leg of lamb." And he laughed, and she laughed, but most importantly, she bought the leg of lamb.
Of course.
Yeah. So again, it was those kinds of things, and then. So my family is one thing, and talking about growing up in my hometown, where everybody had a mom and pop store. It was before the big shopping mall came in, and our town, Perth Amboy, was really the retail hub. Friday nights it was just packed, and again, and a lot of my friends, their parents had these stores, so it wasn't just commercial. It was these are your friends, family's business, and people work there, and you get a sense of community and neighborhood, and the fact that we're all in this together as part of the community. So. And then I also wanted to include some retail histories, as I mentioned before. So I also, in addition to how the first shops got started, how did we get shops? How did we get storefronts? How did we get currency, weights and measures, all the things that we take for granted? At one time, somebody had to make this up, and and again, to be honest, and you find out that something like fixed prices is a relatively new concept, and there were a couple of retailers who decided, but we didn't really get fixed prices until the early 19th century. Other than that, it was kind of negotiation, and there are stories in there that. Customers would want, like in England, customers would dress down when they were shopping, so the merchant thought that they really couldn't afford it, so they gave them a lower price, or they thought that they'd be better off if the boss was out and they could deal with the manager. But the manager, the boss certainly told them not to give anybody a break. But it's all these things for how we got there. So then. I wanted to make, as I said before, the book a road story, and just to find really compelling stories and great people. And I want to talk about a couple of them who were really made a big impression on me. And I talked to them, just why they got into it, whether it's a family thing or they wanted to get out of one business and go into another. So one of the things I talk about is adapting to change, because all the way any retailer, any business survives is to adapt to change. There's a store in the Highland Park section of Los Angeles, and it was originally called Galco's Old World Italian Grocery Store. So the fourth generation store, an Italian grocery store in a neighborhood that was no longer Italian. And this man named John Nisi, who owned it, and started by his grandfather, he was running his company on his credit card. It was going down. It was going down, and it was kind of a hybrid. It was bigger than just a little neighborhood grocery store, but it was smaller than a supermarket. And he wasn't making anything on the dog food and detergent and all the things that neighborhood stores sell. So the last straw was his Pepsi-Cola delivery guide. So I wanted him to buy this pallet of Pepsi. And John said, "How much am I going to make on this?" And the Pepsi guy said, $35. He said, "Forget about it. I'm not going to carry Pepsi anymore." The Pepsi guy said, "Well, you have to carry Pepsi. It's a demand item. Everybody carries Pepsi." He said, "No, yeah, just get out of here." And after kind of boiling over he said, after I thought about it, I wanted to thank that Pepsi-Cola man, because he reminded me that my shelves belonged to me. So John always liked soda pop. not Pepsi or Coke, but boutique soda pop, small, and every area of the country has its soda pop that's indigenous to that part of the country. Tennessee has one called Dewdrop. North Carolina has Cheer Wine. I mean, they're everywhere. So he started bringing in these different soda pops from companies that had bought the recipe and bought the brand. He started bringing in 25, 50, 100. Then he now has 500 different kinds of soda pop, and he rebrands his company as the Soda Pop Stop. And he's got and so he took out everything, and he sells wine and beer, but it's mainly featuring this soda pop, and he's got 40 different kinds of root beer. And he can tell you the nuances of root beer like a sommelier can tell you about wine. And he's just having the time of his life. And at first, grandparents would bring in their grandkids and say, "Oh, this was popular when I was younger." And now he's bringing in current soda pop. Like there's one called Moxie, which has more caffeine than you could probably find in this entire coffee shop area. And one of my favorites is a lemonade called Leninade, as in Vladimir Lenin, with the tagline, "A taste worth standing in line for." Which I love. And then he got rid of all the fruit and stuff, and he has candy. So things like, if you remember, Bonomo's Turkish Taffy and Clark bars and all this stuff. Again, the same principle. People bought the recipe, bought the brand, and are distributing them to a new audience. And as John said, you don't have to come in and buy a 12-pack. You can buy one. And if you like it, you buy more. And if you don't like it, you don't have to buy it. What a concept. But this man totally transformed his business when he was on the verge of closing up. And that's the resilience and the beauty of companies like that. When I was giving a talk near Memphis, and I wanted to get an African American owned business. So I called the Memphis Black Businessmen's Association. I figured they would know, and so they gave me the name of a place, of a restaurant called the Four Way Restaurant, right in Memphis on Mississippi Boulevard. It was the soul food restaurant in Memphis. It had been there since the late 40s. And it was near Stax Records. That's where Isaac Hayes and Aretha Franklin and all those people, Sam and Dave, they would go. Martin Luther King ate one of his last meals at the Four Way. And it was the kind of neighborhood place that you would, if you were coming into town and you were looking for somebody, you'd stop off at the Four Way and say, "I'm looking for so-and-so, could you give them this?" Because they'd eventually go there, and that's where you went after church. So I interviewed the man who now owns the Four Way. His name is Willie Earl Bates. Willie Earl Bates grew up in the neighborhood. He had made some money in the insurance business. And the Four Way, the original owners had died, and their family did not run it all that well. And he bought it virtually on the courthouse steps in bankruptcy. And he decided he was going to make this place work because it wasn't just a restaurant. It was a part of the community. And so he and his partner made some renovations and brought in a new cook, because the old cook told Willie Earl, if you walk into this kitchen, I'm quitting. This is the owner. So he walked in, the guy quit, so he found a new cook, and he's still been able to maintain it. But he was going to make this thing work. He told me, "I will, if it takes every last breath of my body, I'm going to make this work." I mean, that's dedication. Because it was more than just, again, it was more than just a restaurant. It was about having this part of the community. And I finish up the book in West Seattle, as we talked about. That's our West Seattle connection. So, and I wanted to have make this kind of as a bookend. As I mentioned, my hometown is on a bay, and here we are on a bay. And So I started talking to people that in restaurants that my wife and I go to. So I go to Hotwire Coffee on on California Avenue, and Easy Street Records, and Mashiko, the sushi place, and of course Husky Deli, which is an important part of West Seattle. And at the time, Barnicut's was still in business, the third generation. And really talk about their part of the community. So Laura Lewis from Hotwire, when I interviewed Laura, she had made some money in the insurance business and opened up Hotwire. And I said, Laura, opening up a coffee shop in Seattle is not the most revolutionary idea that I've ever heard. And she laughed and said, I thought that I would. I did my due diligence, and I thought I would bring something different to it, and she has, and she's made it a part of the community. And it's not just where you get your coffee. It is where you can get treats for your dog. Or it's part of the art walk. It's all the things that make a community. That it doesn't make a community better or worse. It just makes it different. And if we're going to travel and we're going to visit and explore other places, we want to find something that's unique. And that's the beauty of the small independent retailer, because it is a virtual blank palette, and you can do whatever you want. From the concept to the name to the merchandise to the color of the walls to the way things are displayed. It is the height of creativity. Oh, gone! What do you look around you? They're everywhere. It's the dry cleaner. It's the and now butchers are coming back. There's actually celebrity butchers. My father would find this hilarious that there are now celebrity butchers. But it's everybody who's got an idea, who's got some courage, because it takes a lot of courage to do something like this. Because quite often, the laws, whether they're local or federal, are really working against you. I mean, it is very, very tough to do that, because you are being nickeled and dimed and regulated at every turn. And it takes somebody who has that vision, who wants to do this more than anything else, because that's the only way that it's going to work, and have the opportunity to express who you are, why you're doing what you do, and again to be more than that, to be a part of the community, and to see all these people and hear their stories. And it doesn't matter whether they're in any city, whether they're in Tokyo or they're in London. There is more in common than any differences that we have. And I remember being in Tokyo, and I was talking to this gentleman who has this chain of tea houses, and he said that he sponsors a jazz festival. And so I said, "Oh, are you into jazz?" He said, "No, not really." But he thought it would be a good thing for the community to sponsor